Hello, it's Friday. New Zealand might be ditching Super Rugby, and what the fuck? Will Jordan's on the bench. Okay, I need to calm down and just say this is the Ruck 'Em All podcast. Right, today I'm joined by Joe and Harry. How you doing, lads? You all right?
Good, Johnny.
Good stuff, good stuff. No Sheldrake again. He doesn't do Friday, Sheldrake. He just does a Sunday. And this is our weekly preview pod of this weekend's games. Let's start in New Zealand then, as the Crusaders take on the Blues in Le Crunch. It's the two best sides in Super Rugby Aotearoa going head-to-head, where can there only be one winner. There's some changes to the home side. To start with, we've got Tom Sanders coming in at 6 for Sione Havili, which I think is a bit unlucky because Havili actually played quite well last week when I saw him. Ex-Blue, Bryn Hall's back at 9. Drummond's dropping to the bench. George Bridge is recalled on the wing, and Sevu Reece also comes back onto the wing for, and Lester Funganuku drops out of the whole 23. Havili continues at 15, but the big news I said at the start was that Will Jordan's on the bench. And I want to start with this, lads. This is the most frustrated I've been since we started this pod. It's been the most frustrating I've been with actually the team selection at the start. What's your thoughts on Jordan not starting?
I think it's the Crusaders do this quite a lot. I don't know if anybody else did any of the, returning to this, any of the Super Rugby fantasy tournaments over the last couple of years. You really can't rely on the Crusaders to play the same backline week to week. They just have too many good players. So I think bringing Havili in for Jordan, the main thing is that, yeah, I agree. In terms of open play, Jordan is basically the most exciting player in the tournament so far, outside of Hoskins Tutu, of course. But he has been really excellent. But Richie Mo'unga's kicking has been quite poor. I think he's averaging around or slightly below 70% so far. So yeah, Havili's kicking is much more reliable, and they don't really lose that much in terms of a running threat with him on the pitch. So given that the Blues' kicking has been pretty much immaculate all the whole tournament, Black and Bowden Barrett are both very, very reliable. The Canes are just going with the safer option, making sure they get those points. I'm just a bit confused. As I say, it confused and annoyed me because, like, you've got a really young player here. He was player of the week in the first week, took some amazing high balls. As you said, he's amazing at attack, defensively strong. Even on the wing, I wouldn't have minded if he was just on the wing. But what I don't understand is, like, Scott Robinson tried to justify why he wasn't picking Jordan. And he was like, well, I've got the two All Black wingers in my squad. I was like, yes, you've got the two All Black wingers in your squad. You've got Bridge and Sevu Reece. Sevu Reece is brilliant. I think Sevu Reece is the best winger in the world, hands down. George Bridge is, again, I really like George Bridge. He was brilliant at 15 when Jordan was injured at the start of the year and Havili had a few injuries. I really rate George Bridge. But George Bridge has not scored that many tries. George Bridge hasn't scored this Super Rugby competition. He didn't score that much last in the 2020 competition anyway. You've got a guy who's on form, who's got the top try scorer in the competition, and you just put him on the bench. It's like, yes, I understand he wants to play as All Blacks, but is George Bridge his best option on the wing at the moment? You could argument say not. But on the flip side, he is going to bring that X factor off the bench, which they might need. And obviously Bridge missing out the game, and we know what Bridge can do, but for me it was just it's a strange decision, and the justification for it is also strange.
Yeah, obviously Jordan is a great player, and he's been awesome so far. And if he was in any of those other teams, you don't drop him. He's first man on a team sheet potentially, without maybe not thinking about Bowden Barrett at the Blues. But if you had those two, you'd probably play one of them at Bowden at 10. But yeah, he's obviously amazing, but so are Bridge and Reece. And yes, he's the top try scorer in the competition, but you want to keep these guys fresh as they can be throughout this competition. And really the drop from Jordan to Bridge or Jordan to Havili is minuscule, as kind of Harry mentioned. So I think, yeah, I understand it's difficult, and I bet he's gutted considering how well he's played. But It's just a case of the Crusaders having such strength in depth that you might as well use it. What you don't want is a player like George Bridge to be sat on the bench for too long, or to be not getting match time consistent weeks, and then he goes slightly off the boil for when you need him at some point later in the competition. So I think it's just that balancing act of keeping them all fresh.
Yeah, I agree. And briefly on Bridge, I don't know if either of you two saw this, but there was a survey of professional players in New Zealand carried out last week on a few different topics. The headline thing was how they felt about the new All Blacks coaching team, but there were a few things on how they feel about certain players in New Zealand, sort of who they respect the most, who they see as being some of the best players in New Zealand. And Bridge scored really, really well there. Obviously, it was reflective of how highly regarded Beauden Barrett is in the kind of scores that he got from them. But Bridge was one of the next highest. So I think in terms of the things that we don't really see, especially from effectively the other side of the world, he's really, really highly regarded, even if he's not necessarily scoring tries every game, and becoming more of a senior player in that Crusaders backline. I think it makes sense. That they're wanting to keep him included.
Yeah, and absolutely. And as I said previously, I think George Bridge is a fantastic player. He's probably not had the opportunity maybe to shine, or hasn't been up to the highest levels you got. But then when you're playing for one of the teams, if not one of the best club sides in the world, you want to always be on that level. And I just think at the moment, Jordan and Reece especially are offering the Crusaders that X factor that is making them that step up. Moving on to the Blues sort of team, then again, it's another interesting selection decisions again, which I was again left my head thinking a bit confusing. But the Blues have got Finlay Christie at 9. I think Sam Knox injured because he's not in the 23 at all. With Jonathan Riru, I think, maybe I don't know how you pronounce it, but Rue. There you go. At 9,
very simply.
Coming on the bench, he'll make his first Super Rugby Aotearoa appearance when he comes on. There's a welcome return for Carl Tungafai on the bench. The New Zealand tight end, he's the best moustache in the game. I'm really pleased that McDonald didn't put him straight in the team and Alex Hodgman starts for them, because Hodgman's been absolutely one of the better players for the Blues. So I'm pleased that they've brought Carl back onto the bench, and he'll bring a nice little impact off the bench. But the selection thing that left me a bit confused in selections, that Harry Plummer is starting at 12 with TJ Faiani on the bench. Again, it's a strange call because Plummer's come off the bench and he's looked fine. Like, again, he's not set the world on fire, but Faiani's looked really good. He's probably one of the best 12s in the competition at the moment. Again, it might be down to like rotation and whatever, but you're playing the Crusaders. You're playing ultimately one of the best centres in the world. You're up against Jack Goodhue. You surely want a guy who's playing really well to start up against him. I'm not saying Harry Plummer's not, but I don't think Harry Plummer's done particularly anything to warrant a start anyway.
It is an interesting one. I suspect there'll be an explanation somewhere that we've not come across yet in an interview with the coaching staff or similar. Plummer, certainly when you saw the comments on the team announcements, some of the other Blues fans are not so pleased about that change. He's perfectly good. He's perfectly all right. Before this season, you wouldn't have said that before Aotearoa, you would have said that Faiani was reliable but not outstanding. So he has been on a very good run of form, but it's not necessarily like his form in Aotearoa has been exactly what you would expect from him. He's not going to play like Sonny Bill Williams every single week, which he more or less has been so far. So bringing in Plummer for him, I suspect, just briefly looking at the weather, it is going to be dry. It's dry today, it was dry yesterday, and it's going to be dry tomorrow in Canterbury. And along with having Jordan on the bench of the Crusaders, I suspect both teams will be expecting this to be quite a drawn out game, quite intense all the way to the 80th minute. So having such a good leader, Blake Gibson as well on the bench for the Blues, in the back row, having Tuna Kuafe, Gibson and Faiani on the bench for the Blues, they've got a pretty strong bench there to bring on for that last 20 minutes when the Crusaders can really put a game to bed. So you'd think that this is a deliberate plan from the Blues to try and prevent some of those late tries.
Yeah, I think as well, potentially is what Harry Plummer gives them a bit more of a kicking option at 12 as well. I know you've got, obviously you've got Aotearoa Barrett as well. Again, it's just another distribution outside Black to get the angles in for the kicking as well, which maybe Fiani doesn't offer them. Maybe that's what they think in targeting, getting the Crusaders playing back rather than just clearing the lines potentially as well. Predictions, tricky?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be tough. It looks to be like a very, very good shape up, like we thought it would be. Excited to watch it, but I think there's not going to be an awful lot in it. Considering it's dry, there's two very, very exciting backlines there. Either very capable of scoring a lot of tries. I think it might just be that the home advantage just takes it for the Crusaders. And they have looked, the Crusaders, they haven't looked amazing, but they've looked a team that just knows how to win at the moment. And even in tough situations, still get a W. So I reckon the Crusaders will take it, but it'll be tight, maybe by 5.
Harry, what are your thoughts?
I'd just like to apologise if anyone's hearing any background sound noise. There's some scaffolding work across the road from me here. As for the prediction, I think the Blues pack is really strong, and sort of the first time for a while that you could say that the Crusaders pack is not looking like the strongest in a match. It's been something that they've built their strength on, as well as having all those exciting backs. They win the game in the forwards first, but that might be quite hard this week. So depending on how that goes, we could see something good from the Blues. I know Tele has had quite a quiet tournament so far, so he'll be hoping to sort of make a mark playing opposite Bridge. Although that being said, Bridge is probably the best wing in the tournament to shut an opposition winger down, so that might not actually happen. But yeah, it's going to be so tight. I can't say who's going to win.
Yeah, for me, I think backing on Joe's point about the Crusaders being at home is really important. They don't lose in Christchurch that often. So for me, I'm going to go the Crusaders by 7. I think they'll win it by a score. The only worry that I've got and the concern is I think the Blues back row is a lot stronger than the Crusaders with Ione, Papali'i and Hoskins Satutu. Compare that to Sanders, Christie and Douglas. I think the Blues win that battle. There, as you said, the Blues have got to get their forward pack going. Their line-out's looking a lot better. If they can get in the right areas of the field and get their set piece together, and the Crusaders, unfortunately, were hitting a brick wall for 50 minutes against the Highlanders without any breakdown. If the Crusaders can come up with a bit of magic, I think they might break away clear. But it's going to be close, as you say. It's the two best teams in Super Rugby, Aotearoa. But there's only going to be one winner. But this is going to be a crucial game to decide who's going to go and win that tournament overall. So Sunday's game is the Hurricanes versus the Highlanders back in the capital. A couple of changes for the Hurricanes. Vince Arso's back at 13 with Amunga Jensen dropping out altogether. I hope that's down to injury because I thought Amunga Jensen was one of the better players for the Hurricanes last week, and Vince Arso's obviously had a week off. Change at 10 is Fletcher Smith comes in at 10, and again Jackson Garden-Bashop's out at the 23. Again, that might be down to injury or rotation. He has played a lot of rugby. He's still quite a young guy. Surprise selection at 6 is Devon Flanders is replacing Reed Precep at 6. And Scott Scrafton's obviously not been banned from his red card last week, and he joins James Blackwell in the second row. No Dane Coles for the Hurricanes. That could be key. I think that again that's probably down to injury because again the Highlanders are looking pretty strong. So Amua comes in at hooker with Ben May starting at loose head instead of Fraser Armstrong. For the Highlanders, you've got Scott Gregory's back on the wing with Punavani out. Jack Wheaton comes in for the injured Josh Dixon, who looks like he's out for the rest of the competition. So it's a shame because him and Parkinson have been absolutely quality in that second row. Saita Tokalai replaces Jeff Thwaites at tight head. Thwaites is on the bench with Dan Leonard-Brown, and Aidan Johnson is at loose head, which joint captain Ash Dixon starting again at hooker, which I think is really key in that battle. for them. I think he's been one of the best hookers in the competition so far. Coltman was, again, good last week, and he's unlucky to maybe drop out, but he's on the bench. I'm thinking the Highlanders are in a great place to win this game away from home.
Yeah, I agree. It's difficult, and again, you look down that team sheet, and under normal circumstances, you say it doesn't look that strong, but they've been playing really well recently. They've been fighting close in matches that they probably deserve to get more from, and then obviously they've had a win as well. It's an interesting one because for the Canes' point of view, there's a few in there that I'm pleased about. Like the back line looks decent. I like the look of Fletcher Smith at the start of the competition before lockdown. I thought that he worked really well with Wamapi and Barrett. So now that those three are all in the team sheet together again, that might work well. You got Vince Asso, who he could be brilliant or he could be awful. So that is certainly going to be interesting at the very least to see what he does. If you want the Canes to score tries, then he's a good man to have in your team, but he's going to let a few through as well. So that's going to be interesting to watch. And then obviously there's big omissions with the likes of Dane Coles out. That's going to be a massive loss. Asafo Omua has been okay when he's come on, but we all know what Coles can do when he's on the pitch. He can create something and he can score tries from like 30 metres out like he did against the Blues. So they're going to miss him. And then on the Highlanders side, they look to have strengthened up again a little bit with the likes of Ash Dixon. See if Scott Gregory can actually get going in this game. He was targeted a little bit when he played the other week, but he might have a few more chances on the wing. So, yeah, it's difficult. A Canes side that hasn't looked in great form. Highlanders side that looks strong at the moment. I think it's going to be tight. I would hesitate to say the Highlanders will take it because it's in Wellington. Hopefully that'll mean a little bit for the Canes, and they really need a win. They need to push hard. They're not going to want to lose at home to the Highlanders. But you struggle to write the Highlanders off recently, and we've done it every week, and they've proved us wrong. So, it's going to be a tight one.
Harry, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, it's going to be another dry day in Wellington as well as it's going to be in Christchurch. So that leads you to think that the Hurricanes chucking it around with a bit more stability with Geordie Barrett now there, that could all start to click. Vince Arso coming in, we know he likes to try everything from literally anywhere on the pitch. So you only really need one or two of them to work for the Hurricanes to score, and for the score to get quite big quite quickly, given that the breaks they do make, they can finish very, very easily with the speed of Lam and Van Veek. Just quickly on the Hurricanes changes, it looks like Coles is out, calf injury, Gareth Evans ankle injury, Reed Prinsep hamstring, and then Fraser Armstrong, who's done something to his knee.
Yeah,
so that's quite a lot of changes.
Last week, wasn't it? For
yeah, exactly. And then when he did come on last week, Ben May really struggled in the front row. So given that the Highlanders pack has been fantastic so far, you'd think that they might try to attack that as a weakness for the Hurricanes. But yeah, everything from the Hurricanes, everything from 7 outwards, every player from 7 outwards looks really good. And then you just wonder how well the replacements in the tight forwards are going to do. Obviously, Almua, it's always nice to see him play. Hopefully, he'll take advantage of having a few more minutes this week. Obviously, such an exciting runner, but very rarely gets a start given the quality of Riccatelli and Coles at the Hurricanes. So it'll be good. I'm really glad that he's starting. Give him a chance to show what he can do. The Highlanders might miss Josh Dixon in the second row. He seems to have been leading their line. In terms of the jumpers and the lifters, he's the most senior player out there. But I think bringing Ash Dixon back in as the throwing hooker should keep that on an even keel. But yeah, it's looking good. The Highlanders are more or less settling on a first choice 15 with a couple of changes here and there. Still sort of working out what they want to do with their back three. Michael Collins is obviously very experienced, so he helped last week. Hopefully he'll help this week, given that Geordie Barrett's going to be putting in some difficult ones. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a good game.
Yeah, it's going to be very close. I'm going to come straight down the line. I think the Highlanders are going to win. I think they're going to win by 5 points. I say it will be close, but the Highlanders for me look like more of a complete team, as you said. Like they're very close to their starting 15. They've still got a bit of an issue with their back three, but hopefully if Milner Scudder can come in at some point and maybe in the latter half of the competition, then it will bring that X factor they need. Still no Josh Ione, but actually they're coping well without those two players. To be honest, they've, as you said there, I think the Hurricanes front five worries me. I think the Highlanders, we've talked a lot about their scrum and line-up being in particularly really strong. They'll target that again. They played really well for 50 minutes against the Crusaders, and the Crusaders' quality overtook them. I think for the first time in a long time, in my opinion, the Highlanders are going into a game as favourites, and they should be looking to beat the Hurricanes away from home. It's going to be a very, very valuable win. Let's move on to Super Rugby AU.
Yeah.
Just a very quick word on the Rebels and Reds game, which I've just watched. It was a very dull draw, 18-all. Nothing particularly ever happened. We'll talk a bit more about it on Sunday when everyone else has seen the games. But two things to look out for. Two amazing carries in the game by the tight head of the Rebels, where he's had a run from about 45 metres and he's absolutely smashed into the Reds line, which is really entertaining. And then Toa Pilotu's done an absolutely beautiful carry at the end where he's just completely gone on his own. But yeah, go back and watch the game. The Rebels should have won the game, quite frankly. They chucked it away and let the Reds back in. But we'll go through it in more detail on Sunday. Waratahs Force. The Force are back. Woo, woo, woo. We've talked about this for a few weeks. They've returned. And they've gone with a relatively strong team. When I was doing a little research about them this week. Notable names, again, we talked about before, is Kieran Longbottom at tight head. It's going to be massive to lock down their scrum. Jeremy Thrush in the line out, that experience he's had from playing for the All Blacks and stuff. And John O'Lance is in at fly half, which is really important, playing against the only franchise he's not played for in Super Rugby. Tars at relatively unchanged. Again, they've got a young team. Hooper's not the captain. I can't remember who is the captain. I feel like I can't remember, but it's not Hooper. No, it's Rob Simmons is the captain, not Hooper. So that's quite interesting. Rob Simmons in the second row. Key battle for me has got to be Will Harrison, the young Tars lad. They're talking up. Noah Lolosio from the Brumbies, but Will Harrison's again exciting against the experienced John O'Lance. Thoughts quickly?
Some interesting names in the Western Force backline. Not sure if you recognise Marcel Brache, Brache. He was one of the stars for the USA in the recent World Cup, playing 13. He had a couple of good games. I think he scored against England. And then Henry Taefu, who also had a good tournament for Tonga, another centre. So that's at least one position where they've got some semi-notable players. Otherwise, if you look on their official page on the Super Rugby website, in their starting lineup, they have 6 players with a photo. The rest of them are just a grey shape.
That just screams National One to me. That screams like English National One on a Saturday with no crowds. That's funny. I like that.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure they'll work hard, and they have got some good players. Obviously, John O'Lance in one of basically the most important position on the pitch in Super Rugby. He's gonna have the game. Hopefully, have the game of his life, or at least gonna need to. Tars, couple of changes, mainly in the centres. Alex Newsom's quite good fun. Big guy, runs hard. Could be useful. Otherwise, it's pretty interesting. I did read an article about Lockie Swinton, the Tars 6. Seems like a bit of a interesting character.
Oh.
He has the logo of a company called Build Corp, who sponsor the Sydney University Rugby Club. He has a tattoo of them that he used to play for. He has a tattoo of their logo on his backside as a sort of tribute to all the help they gave the team before he qualified or sort of moved up to the Tars. Likes a fight, likes a punch. He's always good value in a match. Really, Australia have missed that in their back row. you might say it's sort of a throwback to an era of rugby that we sort of don't mind leaving behind, but having one or two on the pitch at a time is always quite good value.
Sounds like a proper
Yeah.
university standard rugby player, just like loves a sesh, loves a tattoo, loves a fight. Sounds like a few players we've played against in our time, lads. So yeah, it sounds interesting.
Well, one thing that does make him unique is that there is a rumor that he has a mirror above his bed. So he's entirely unsubstantiated, but yes, an interesting bloke and a good player.
Yeah, I think yeah, cool. There you go. What's his name again?
Lachlan Swinton.
Go check that out. Sounds like if you want a night out, go check him out. Tricky, what we saying? Anyone about can the Force win? Can the Force strike back? I'm trying to think of all some Star Wars references that I can get.
I mean, I don't know a huge amount about Aussie rugby, but I just from looking at the team, I'd say they're going to struggle. The few names that I do know, yes, there's a couple of decent players in there, but there's literally like a couple, like one or two, maybe three in that Force team. There's a few more players that are slightly more recognisable in that Tars team. And the Tars have obviously they've struggled in recent years, but they have been historically a good team. The Force have obviously been out of Super Rugby for a little while, and they're not going to come straight back in and be great and bulldozing teams, are they? So it's going to be interesting to see how they get on. My old mate Jeremy Thrush is in there, so I was a big fan of him when he was at Gloucester, and he is a genuinely a very good player. So he's going to do good things for them. And John Lance obviously knows what he's doing too.
What's this lock combination at Gloucester with Thrush? Wasn't it quite funny? Wasn't it Thrush and
Thrush? Funny? How do you mean funny?
Well, it was like it was like Thrush and someone else, wasn't it?
Well, Savage was around.
That was it. Savage Thrush. That's it. There we go. Sorry, immaturity. Sorry.
Jeremy Thrush, he is now 35 years old.
Yeah.
Well, Brett was 39 when he won the World Cup. He's got loads of time left. He's got, as I said, he's going to be absolutely crucial for them.
Yeah.
As I say, Star Wars: A New Hope. I think the Force might have a hope. Realistically, I think if the Force are going to win one game, they need to go hard at the Tars. We talked about the Tars' forms not being particularly great. They weren't good in Super Rugby, the not traditional competition. Appreciate they're away from home to start off with, but they've got to come out firing. They should be fresh. They should be ready to go. Johnny Lance has got to have a key game of just getting them in the right area, and they've got to play. There's no point of sitting back. They've got to take the game to the Tars. They've got to be quick, change it up, little tap and goes, up and unders. Look to exploit the 50-10 rule. Can they put the ball back, which means that the Waratahs have to kick out from their try line? Basically use the new rules against the Tars to try and get them field position and get them in the right areas. I don't see the Force winning this game. I will probably come down on the Tars side in the end because they do have the stronger team. But without seeing the Force play, for me, it is their best opportunity, I'd say, just going off form. Anyone else on that, or should we finish this all up?
I think ultimately it's just a victory that the Force are being included in this tournament and they still exist as a team. It's not really going to have as much of an effect as you'd like, having a team back out there in Western Australia. It's a part of the country that league isn't quite so big in. It's very much AFL and cricket territory. So Union is more popular there, or sort of its baseline of popularity there is, it's got a higher ceiling, let's say. So if they could have fans in the stadium, then it would be better. But you should just support the Force if you like Australia not being terrible at rugby. Obviously, we do quite like them being a bit worse than England, but they need to be a bit worse, not gone. So yeah, it's great that the Force are playing and that they're included. A bit frustrating that their squad isn't as good, but what can you do?
Yeah, go to Force. Come on, the Force. Go get a win. Throw a spanner in the works. Whatever. Right, that'll do us. I think for today. Thanks for tuning in and listening. Obviously, we're on YouTube, we're on Acast. Go check us out. We'll see you on Sunday for our full review of the weekend's games. And yeah, have a great weekend, boys. And I'll see you on Sunday. See you later.
See you Sunday.